Good evening, everybody. As you can probably see, if you're here, there's quite a few of us here tonight for this conversation. And if you're not here, you've got no idea what you're missing. Tonight's conversation is about John's talk on patterns of light as they connect to the family. I'm not going to ask each individual to talk about how they've responded to it. The whole idea is to be as casual as we can without falling asleep. So what I'm going to do is throw open to the group that are here, which is also another pattern of light, how they responded or reacted to John's talk on the family as a pattern of light. So I'm just going to say, let's open the floor, and whoever would like to start first may start first. That's a good one.
Well, I'll go first.
Hang on, Shrupa put her hand up first, and then Haresh. Okay.
For me, it was a really. I think I was expecting I was hoping after January this was going to give us more information about patterns of light, but it just kind of took this tangent of opening something that obviously needed to see, but it was so deep, and it made me completely see how much I've been holding on to my personality, because the family has always been separate to my spiritual path. Even though I know academically everything is spiritual, the family was just an annoyance.
Well, isn't that interesting? Let's see if we can get it back. But while we're waiting, so on that intriguing note of the family was an annoyance, Haresh, would you like to continue?
I think maybe it's a sign here. Be careful, you don't drop off. All right. Yeah, well, I found it brilliant because for me personally, family is a very tricky and emotive subject. And I think the opportunity was to look past that or look at it objectively and, from the way the questions John asked to explore, and see it more as an opportunity at a soul level and not a personality level, by answering the questions he's asked. I think it really, and it's still ongoing because that trickier part of it is still there, but to see what have I really learned from being a part of this family, and how have I responded to it instead of reacting to it. And I think that's been the real gift from this talk, and being aware of what John is sharing.
Did he actually say to look at it from a soul level? I don't think he did.
No, he didn't. And the thing is, what I found good about it was he said, and I don't remember the exact words, but it was along the lines of, when you're in your family, you learn how to be part of a group.
Just a moment.
You don't need to be in your heart. You don't need to be in your intuition. You're automatically put in that environment where, you're being pushed to look at things from that perspective. So it's not that he asked to look at it from a soul level, but how being put in that environment automatically pushes you to, get past whatever it is to fulfill your purpose for which you're here. That was what I took away from it. And to be able to see it that way. I think that's what I meant when I mentioned that earlier.
Let's bring Sarupa back in. I think she's finally managed to make the connection work again. So Haresh took over whilst we were trying to find you, Sarupa. So we got to the intriguing point about your family, and then you dropped off. Do you want to finish that thought?
Yeah, I think it showed me, and it's things that I will have been told by you or John or through any of the other teaching, but sometimes you hear things just here and you tidy them away and think, oh yeah, I've got that, and you tick the box. And it made it I had to face how much I was holding on to my personality and how much that was being reflected back through my understanding of family until this teaching came. So while the teaching that month, if I had gone into this old pattern of, oh yeah, I know that, of course I know that it's spiritual, of course I know everything's spiritual, I wouldn't have been able to see how much I was holding on to my personality. And actually my family had become my personality playground, where I could entrench myself more in it, but without admitting to myself I was. So everything became personal, particularly my family. So if people in my family were irritating me, life irritated me, everybody, the whole world irritated me, because they became that focal, like that central point of irritation. But I didn't ever step back to go, well, hang on, how comes we're in a grouping? What's going on? In the way that this month got me to. So it was that blew my mind, which was probably good.
Okay, thank you. Sonia.
For me, this month's talk, I feel I don't think I look at the family as a group of training at all. Like until now, I think families just take it like almost for granted. Like I just reincarnate and that's it, and that's like. So this month really helped me to start looking as actually training, and what's also standard is the opportunity to freedom. I was wondering, like, I didn't see that as an opportunity of freedom until like now read this, and then I reflect that, okay, what actually I have learned or may not have learned, I'm still reactive and working on this. I think I'm just only the first layer of the onion. I don't know how deep it can go. Yeah.
It's deep. It's very deep when you start to think about it. Anybody else like to contribute? Sharon.
I just felt that what Sarupa was saying really resonated with me on so many levels. The being thrown into personality playground, I mean, it's quite humbling, really, to see how many eons I probably have to get through to be working on a soul level all the time. But I wanted to add something with family, that when a family member drops out of physicality, when a family member is no longer there, there's a huge dynamic shift in the family. And I think for me, I have been functioning so much more on personality than I was aware of, so much more. And I really get what Sarup is saying. And that's why I say it's humbling, because you really have to look clearly at yourself and say, God, you're not really where you thought you might be. You're, like Sonia said, just getting there, just moving forward a little bit with an awareness, with a recognition of who I'm being within this family situation. So I was blown away. I just drank in every single mouthful of and sound of John, and I felt there was a transformational shift for me. And I wrote to Helen and said, I wonder if I'm imagining this. Is this really a shift through the vibrational quality of the words, or is there more to it? Like, I don't know. I think there was some sort of magic happening.
There's always magic.
Yeah.
However, I don't think, when we're ready, that magical moment arises. Whatever it is, it arises and we feel it in the depths of our being.
Totally. Tears started coming down. I wasn't sad. I wasn't happy. I was like in the heart of truth, and it just brought me so much energy inside.
Yeah. And when a family member steps out through death, it's because their journey with the family is over.
Right.
Not just their journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because if their journey with the family wasn't over,
You couldn't go.
they wouldn't go.
Yeah.
They'd leave a different way, but they'd still be physical for the connection to occur.
So does that mean that they've completed what they came, their purpose
Within that family,
Yeah, that's
it's done.
Wow, that's also blown my other mind.
Well, it's good to be in two minds. David,
Yeah.
what do you feel about this?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, our family, we've been thrust together by a fire in our daughter's apartment.
Mm.
So she's moved in with us on about the day after Christmas, I think it was, with her 1-year-old baby, and and our house is quite small. So it was a pretty intense time where lots of triggering was going on, and sometimes it came, the resolution came fairly easily, others less so. But my daughter's just today got an apartment, and over here, I don't know what it's like where the rest of you are, but it's craziness. The real estate market. It's like we do things differently, perhaps here in Australia. We panic buy toilet paper. Well, it's panic buying of real estate at the moment. So we've sold our house, and anyway, we've got to move out in a couple of weeks. Nowhere to go yet. So it looks like we might be moving in with our daughter's new apartment.
I think that's wonderful.
Talking about things not being complete. Maybe there's some aspect of our personalities that need a little more polishing. But I must say, I really, particularly with our daughter, she's quite marvelous. She pulls me up when I need to be pulled up, and she's very kind and very. When I lose it, she's very forgiving. She's quite amazing. We're very, very blessed to have her. And I'm sure the three of us. Well, I was told by somebody that the three of us were in a lover's triangle in a past lifetime, so we're here to sort things out.
So I wonder what role your granddaughter will play in that triangle of three.
Well, at the moment, I don't know. That's a good question. I'll have to try and understand that better. But she's a very determined little thing already, and so at the moment, I think she kind of keeps us in check a little bit. The two boys.
That's amazing. 1-year-old and keeps everybody in check.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic.
Pretty powerful.
Anybody else like to say something? Yeah.
About what you said earlier, it just triggered a thought that when we're done with the family energy, then we choose to leave. We also see patterns of activity or the patterns of thought continue lifetime into the next lifetime. So does that mean that the part we needed to play with those particular people to get or not get, or have the opportunity to get or not get, is done? And so then we move on. Is that how?
It's done with people, not necessarily done.
Right.
John said that when you've done, you've done. Whatever your role is, once you've completed it with that group, it's done. So you don't come back the next lifetime to do it again because they haven't got it. Now it's on to them to learn it, either through somebody else or by being the person in the next life that the one you lost was in this life.
Right.
He said you don't have to keep trying and trying and trying.
Yes.
You reach a point where you feel you've got nothing, no other way to do it. You've done it every which way you can think of. and so it's okay to leave. Stephanie
Let me
said,
put it up here. So we can see it.
how does this impact if family is purely birth family, not soul family, and so the join together finished once the parents had passed? No, I don't see it that way, Stephanie. I think whether it's a birth family or a spiritual family, a soul family, the parents gave the potential for that to occur. Once the parents have gone, if you're in that family, you're in there not just because of the parents, but because of the whole group that's that family pattern. When my father died, he was the glue that held the family together. So when he died, nobody else stepped up to be that glue in a different way. We didn't need somebody to step up in the way that he had. That was his contribution. But no one else stepped up in their way. I tried and it didn't work. So, but that doesn't mean that my learning through my birth family was over. And I know they're not my soul family, I was told that. But I'm there for a reason. And they're there in my life for a reason. So once you reach the point where what you've come to do with that group can no longer be done, or you've done it, you move on to another family. You move on to another experience. You don't go back and do it all over again.
And literally, my mind is just. It's incredible. Like, there's so much to it, you know.
Yeah, and we diminish it by making it about emotional attachment.
That's what I realized. What I've made so complicated by making it about emotional stuff, John in one teaching made really simple. No, actually, that's not what it's about. It's just about this. There's a purpose. There's a reason. He even said something like, you know, if two people don't get on, they need to learn about collaboration. They do that. Off it goes into mass consciousness, done. It's that simple. That's also what blew me away. It doesn't have to be as stupidly complicated as we make it. It's actually like, what is it about? What am I here to do? What is the purpose?
Because when we react, it's about who's right.
Yeah.
And the moment we step into who's right and who's wrong, you've got battle lines drawn up. Amanda said, seems to me that the pattern of family light moves through generations. No, I don't think it's the pattern of family light that moves through generations. I think we may move through a pattern of light within a group for generations, if that makes sense. What Amanda's saying is it's the pattern of light that we're attached to.
Right.
Which is my service is me.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas what I'm saying is we have a pattern of light that, as a consequence of that pattern of light, will take us into other patterns of light to learn from other people to be who we need to be.
And you might stay with the same group of people lifetime after lifetime.
Genetically, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains,
because you don't get it.
Because when John was talking about how it's not about soul family, I was like, what?
It's not about soul family, it's genetics.
Yeah, see, that's now, now after you said that, now I understand that, because I'm just like, how can it not be souls? Like, no, it's not. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be so. It can be, it doesn't have to be. Yeah. Sharon and then Pia.
Well, I have a question then. So, how do you describe a family pattern of light when somebody is born and the parents, for whatever reason, can't raise them, and they go from foster home to foster home and orphanage to orphanage? And where is the pattern of light there?
That's it. Take the emotion out.
Oh, I see.
They are journeying
right
from one pattern to another, to another, to another, to learn.
So does their pattern of light remain the same?
Their pattern of life is yes, their pattern of life stays the same,
yes.
But they are stepping into other patterns of light because there are things that they need to learn, and because the families that they're stepping into need their energy to trigger their thought process too.
I see.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Here.
So it's like the polarity, the magnetic polarity of either south and south, north and south, this sort of a thing. to bring the balance so that you're not going from pillar to post or from like a pendulum swinging between the emotional and the mental.
Yeah.
So you find that balance through this dynamic. And that is what reflects externally into mass consciousness and in the totality.
Yeah.
With that polarity.
Our pattern of light is here for what it contributes. It's not about us. John actually says, I think I've put it in one of the banners. If you just have a look and I'll see. Oh, no. Oh, no, I've missed it. Oh, here it goes. That one.
Why that one?
Yeah. What he says is, why that particular family? Why now? Family dynamics is about service first, self second.
Everything.
Sorry.
Press the bell. Oh my God.
Do you see what I mean? And can we come back to the comments? Because Glynis put up a comment that I found interesting.
Let me, this one?
This one. So it's all simply about learning. No, Glynis, it's not. It's about expanding light into matter. It's about our pattern of light, putting light in, changing mass consciousness through our light. The more we learn and understand our pattern of light and share it, the better it is. It's quite fascinating. Really.
I don't think I can drive home. We're going to fly home.
Say something. Karen?
Oh,
did you want to say something?
yeah, like I guess it didn't really occur to me that family was like the most like not primal, but like the first kind of learning ground and evolution ground for us. Yes, I was sharing before we went on live that when John told me long time ago that I didn't belong to the family that I'm in, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't belong, then screw that, so, but in fact, I can't just walk away because all the learning needs to be, integrated, learned, and grown from there.
Because let's clarify that. You don't belong to the family. That means you don't resonate at their frequency. But it doesn't mean that you're not part of that family dynamic in this lifetime.
Yeah, and what he said in the talk about particular people that you like butt heads with, those are the ones that you're there for, or each other are there for, stood out.
Yeah. It's quite powerful, isn't it? What does anybody else feel about their particular pattern of light?
Very quiet. Amanda's saying over the pattern of light in the family.
Is how we can serve others. Yeah, it is. But it's not about being in service to them. It's about allowing our light pattern to be the impact on theirs. Sonia, what would you want to say?
So, like during COVID, there are lots of we're in lockdown. Lots of family, even they're not living together. They live together. A lot of families physically they couldn't go anywhere, so they have to really look at what is going on. So as they go through that, it contributes to the mass consciousness. When they resolve that, it also lifts the mass consciousness. It's an opportunity. Wow, amazing.
When you think about COVID from that perspective, from understanding your family pattern of light and what your role in it is and what its role in it is for you, it's huge. COVID gave us a whole year to see that, because all the other distractions, traveling and going here and going there and doing this, and so many things were cancelled and shut down. We were basically left facing our family and friends, and he hasn't even talked about friends yet. Probably a good idea not to. He might lose a few. So nobody's got anything to contribute? Marianne, it's quite a revelation. Makes me look at myself and the family members differently. Yeah, take the emotion out of it. Don't take things personally. What's the need to said? what a collaboration being in a family is. Yeah, even if or as we are unconscious of the gift. Stunningly wonderful conversation. Thank you, Anita. I think it's stunningly wonderful of everybody too. Sarupa.
It was just talking about taking the emotions out of it. There was a bit in the teaching that John talked about, when if it's time to walk away, and it was another revelation for me, because I had assumed walking away meant saying, sod off, I'm not part of this family anymore. It was black and white. You're either in it or you're not in it. It was a kind of George W. Bush thing going on.
Yeah.
And then I realized it's then he said you can walk away, you can emotionally disconnect. And that was a point where like some of us shared earlier, where we had to suddenly stop. I've just filled myself up because I need to sit with that. And it was the realization you can walk away emotionally instead of taking everything so blooming personally. And that has actually shifted things within has shifted things within the family, because now we can argue a bit more freely, because I think I was the one that took the offence the most. So while I don't have that charge, it allows people to work through things without sort of maybe having it escalate into something.
You take the drama out of it. When you take the emotion out of it, you take the drama out of it. And when I say when you take the emotion out, it's not that you stop caring. It's that you stop being the emotional body, being needy, and needing everybody to see things the way you do, and needing everybody to approve of everything you do, and needing people to love you.
And thinking through the emotional body. That's what
out. It's different.
Yeah, and it was that not realizing that you can still be in the family, but not emotion. You don't have to be connected emotionally through the family. So it was revealing, going that scratching your head moment, going, so you say you're walking a spiritual, soulful path, but in this situation, you've always just dropped straight into your sacral, and everything has been operating from there. So that, I thought that was huge. And there was that other line that John said about as above, below, and then below. I cannot. I still haven't. I can't conceptualize or even begin to understand what he means by below, so above.
That's a whole other conversation, I reckon.
That'll be another topic.
It's a bit of shadow, and it shows how shadow is part of the light. Yeah, I think that's a good topic. Yeah. Anybody else?
And just to add to that John specifically said that shadow is not, did he use the word evil?
Yeah, shadow is not evil.
And so there's this wonderful permission to honestly explore shadow as you would light, which shifts my perspective completely. So to be open to my shadow as I am open to my light, and explore that honestly, recognizing there's no good or bad in either. It's just something that we choose to engage in as understanding, deeper understanding.
Well, our shadow is the dweller.
Right, that's right, the dweller, yes.
Our shadow is the dweller,
Indeed.
Which we can choose to explore, or when something crops up that shows us it's the dweller, we can explore what more light we need.
Yes.
To reduce the dweller.
Yes.
So for those people that don't know what the term means, the dweller is comprised of the aspects of ourselves, emotionally and mentally, that are unresolved, that we still haven't dealt with yet. So they're the voice on one shoulder that says, go on, do it. And the other voice says, just stop and meditate a minute first and see if you want to go there. Okay. Okay, I don't think anybody's in the crowd anything to Yay. Okay. Anything anyone here would like to say? Have we come to any conclusions about John's talk?
How
There's a
much
lot more to.
bigger if you look at the bigger picture, ask for the bigger picture. That was one of the biggest things came out of that. He always talked about the bigger picture, but in this regard, it was really clear. It's like you can sit down here in the little picture and away you go. But if you just come out a little bit, there's a whole other world. Like, and that's like it was Sharon earlier on was talking about magic. That's where the magic is. Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was amazing.
What were you going to say, Karen?
There's just so much more, like the significance of things, and
it is what he's talking about is the difference between significance and appearance. It's just presenting it a different way. David, would you like to add any more?
I was interested in you were discussing about the shadow and the dweller, making that comparison. And I think it's in the interactions in family where, the shadow bits get, well, for me, bumped right in the face recently. And it's a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
It's a good thing. It's painful at the time. It's frustrating. I get angry, I might storm out of the house. 10 minutes later, I'm going, okay.
Yep.
Of something else that I've got to bring into the light again. And, I've got to say, my wife and daughter are really, really lovely. They don't hold grudges.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and so we just move through things, and she'll lose it, and we take turns.
I think that's a really good way of doing things. It's my turn now. No, it's my turn now.
Yeah.
But I think it's also good to have a sense of humour.
But being three of us, we tend to do this triangle thing, where one will, somebody will say or do something that the other two consider as inappropriate in some fashion, and so they're drawn close together by the behaviour of the other, and it's quite a fascinating thing to see how the energy moves around this triangle, and the shape of the triangle moves from being equidistant to the two being really close together, and then a couple of days it shifts again. And it's quite a interesting dynamic.
I think energy isn't it? The way that it shifts and changes and shapes us is amazing.
But then, the nice thing is that there's no, there's just plenty of forgiveness and acceptance. That we're moving through our own individual things. There's no, longer term bitterness or resentment. It's really good. So, I'm not sure what word to put to that. So it's kind of almost like a workspace.
That's good. Harish, did you have anything you'd like to say? You up here?
Yeah, well, I think, this conversation's been really enlightening in many ways, because it just shows me where, things can become very personal when you grow up with people and you see those figures every day. So to look at the energy and not the person and learn from the energy and see it for what it is as an energy, is tricky, because somewhere that's reflecting something to me about me that I've picked up from that, or, is already within me. That's why I'm in this passion of life to begin with. So I think to get to that stage where it's about looking at the energy, not the person, and then getting all caught up in what happened or what didn't happen, but just focus on looking at it from the heart, I think it'd be a magnificent achievement when accomplished. And it's something definitely I'm looking forward to.
I think that's good. John talks about coming from the heart. But when we come from the heart, we come from acceptance.
Yeah.
But when we take it personally, we come from emotion.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. Okay, Sonia?
You asked how I think is my head is like this right now. I think it's mind blowing. Like you said, like every page is there's so much depth in it. Like it begins with like your higher self doesn't even know that you exist. That already blew my mind.
I thought that was great.
The best. The best.
And then yeah, I think it's just so much in this talk, so much. Yeah.
Okay, Pia, did you want to say something?
It's like when we allow it to be an energy and we don't take it personally. It's like, you know, when you raise the frequency, it's almost like you're dropping stuff. You're dropping, and you're going. So as you drop it, so then you stop being this distant echo, I suppose.
Yes. When you become closer and closer to your higher self, and it says, "Oh, there you are."
Oh, you're good.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great phrase.
Oh, brilliant.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's been a good. I think it's been a good conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know whether anybody else does, but I think it's been a good conversation. What I'm going to ask people is, if you've enjoyed it, and there's a particular talk of John's that you would like us to discuss, post on Facebook or YouTube which one it is you'd like us to talk about, and I'm sure I can blackmail a few people into joining me so that we can do exactly that. You know, John's community is a family, and some of the members are far away and some of the members are close, and some talk to each other and some don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's okay, because it's an energy, and all energies shift and change, and sometimes they grow, and sometimes they don't. I learned an interesting fact over the weekend that the 2015 earthquake at Kathmandu dropped the Himalaya, what did I say, 1 meter?
Not more than that, no? Oh, no, 1 meter.
1
Yes,
meter.
1 meter.
The whole range dropped
Yeah.
a meter as a result of the earthquake. And since 2015, it's regained 60% of that.
Wow.
Wow.
So if
Wow.
the mountains can move, we can.
Yeah.
Literally, yeah.
And on that note,
So we're going to leave you. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Good night.